ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Breakdown Genesis. I'm Goatklaw, and today we're gonna talk about how's the metal scene in Spain. Let's start from the beginning. What happened in Spain from the mid-30s to the mid-70s? Actually, while in the rest of the world it was a musical growth like punk, post-punk, rock and roll, heavy metal, etc., etc., in Spain we had Franco. So this Francoist dictatorship established a national faction, so that means that in Spain all these things that were not linked to the Catholic religion and all these Catholic family values wasn't right. Okay, it wasn't right to listen to rock and roll like it was happening in North America. What this dictatorship provoked in the music industry, first of all, it was like the total absence of rock and I'll say hard rock bands, which latter evolution evolved into today's metal. We had some heavy metal bands like Barón Rojo, for example, but it was a big recession for us. It was like 2 steps back compared to the UK or compared to North America. So the only thing that we need to have in mind is that we had a huge financial crisis provoked by the housing bubble. It was from 2008 to 2014. Even today, the situation is not very right. Actually, I moved to the UK because of the reason, and a lot of Spanish friends, they moved to the UK in the search of a better life, better, labor conditions. Even if you have a degree in university, I have a degree in journalism. The situation here in Spain is not right. Actually, the born rate is very, very low. We're gonna have problems in maybe 50 or 60 years' time. We were talking about Franco. It's been only 40 years, guys. I mean, after the Francoist dictatorship, we had Movida Madrileña in Madrid, we had the evolution of the rock radical Vasco in the Basque Country in the north, and all these people, they were a group of people that were trying to grow all this art and culture that was punished over those years. Worldwide, the music industry had a 20% net profit in the 80s and the 90s. But this is no longer conceiving. Today, how's the way we listen to music? How's the way we go to gigs and stuff? We stay at home and we play the video in YouTube. Actually, we can play it in HD, we can play it in, in the cinema, we can play it at home in a huge television. And those decades are way to get all these resources and to get all this inspiration from, bands and all these singers that inspired us so much. The only way was to go to the gigs, it was the only way to feel inspired, and it was the only way to see them and to feel that music. So not very long time ago, I made a series in my Spanish channel about the evolution of the history of heavy metal. I'll try to do the same thing here in this channel, but it will take me some time because, as I said in the other video, guys, English is not my native language and I'm still quite stuck with words and expressions. Sorry about that. So yeah, in those series I was talking about how much I would love to live a concert in the 80s, or maybe the Stooges concert. Can you imagine how can be to be there and to see that for the very first time? Because today we have a lot of inputs here and there in YouTube and videos and stuff. We have seen everything. Actually, the people that have been born after the 2000s, they don't know how it is. I was born in 91 and I still listened to the music in cassettes and then later on in CDs. I had my Walkman, I had my Discman. So this magic and these vibes, we can't leave them anymore. So recording labels are now trying to figure out other ways to spread the message. So that's another thing. Nowadays, we have a lot of bands. If you have a look in Spotify, for example, because streaming music, it's been huge for the musical industry. Actually, the revenue that you get with YouTube or Spotify, it's not a lot. So we're gonna talk about some ways that we have to support all these bands and support the music. But what is happening in Spain? We said Franco, we said the crisis, because obviously if there is a financial crisis, we don't have money, and if we don't have money, we can't go to gigs, or we can't buy merchandising, etc, etc. So yeah, going to a gig before, today it's just going to YouTube and click on the play, and only music lovers go to gigs on a Wednesday. Gig culture, going to a gig in the middle of the week, on a Monday, on a Tuesday, in a big city like Madrid. Madrid is the capital of Spain. I was working in a metal television for a long time, and we usually went to these gigs to film, to make reports, to make interviews, and I was impressed. I remember going to a Arch Enemy concert, and Angela Gosov was still singing in Arch Enemy, and it was a big venue, and there were like only, I don't know, maybe 100 in Madrid. What the fuck? In Spain, we support, or we tend to support, bands, international bands, more than national bands. Why? I don't know. Actually, I'm tired of reading some comments in some, Spanish band video clips and stuff. And some people comment, oh, I thought that the music scene was dead until I saw your band. And I'm like, okay, guys, there are a lot of bands. Plenty of bands in Spain, like in Norway, or not like in Germany, because that's another reason. We are not going to talk about, philosophical things and stuff, but the situation you are in the map, in the globe, will determine the evolution of your history. So what do we have in Spain? We have flamenco. Flamenco was born in these patios surrounded by people, and because we had good weather, people went outdoors, and all this traditional music, started to evolve and turn into today's flamenco. If you take into account, like when I lived in the UK, it wasn't a plaza culture. What is a plaza? A plaza is a place in any little town or any little village where all the people are together for, I don't know, maybe popular or folk parties. Once in a year, they make fairs, they celebrate together because they have good weather. If it's raining, human beings, they don't tend to be, together in those plaza places. Where was heavy metal born? It was born in Birmingham. It was born in the UK. Actually, you can see a lot of interviews to Black Sabbath, where they talk about where they used to work. They used to work in the metal industry, and all these reasons created a new revolution. This is very interesting, because which part of Spain is more supportive with live music in general and metal specifically? It's the north of Spain, the area of Galicia, the area of the Basque Country. So all these things I'm talking about, this is the proof. So what's the key thing? If bands can't get profit with recording labels anymore, I mean, people, if they don't buy the CD, the band won't get that money. So where do we get the money? They get the money through merchandising. They don't get profit through streaming music. That's a way for them to be known and for people to discover them. So that's an amazing way, but at the same time, it's not, they can't pay the bills. So do people know this? Do people know that merchandising, for example, it's a good way for bands to get some profit? So maybe you guys are wondering, okay, that's fine, but which Spanish bands can live with, their passion? Which Spanish bands can pay the bills? The answer is that I can count them with the fingers of my hands. And this is pretty sad, like I said in the other video, guys. So that's what's happening in the metal scene in Spain. So the last reason, we're going to explain it in more depth in the next video, but it's the close-minded metalheads. And I have suffered it a lot, because I have, in my Spanish channel, I have, plenty of videos, random videos, and when I made a video about the Spanish metal scene, I had a lot of backlash. I had a lot of people saying, well, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, metal scene in Spain is dead, metal in Spain is shit. And working and collaborating in this scene for so many years, next to all these musicians and producers, and promoters, I have learned that most of them are very hard workers, and they are trying to balance, you know, their normal life, their regular life, with tours, with gigs, you know, trying to get something out of it. But obviously, I'm talking about the ones that are working hard, okay? Obviously, I'm not talking about, you know, Los Berberechos de Murcia, for example, that, you know, they play only once a year and they don't even have a video or a song released, okay? I'm talking about, you know, the really hard workers, you know, like the bands that I showed you in the previous video. So if you haven't watched it, please go to my description box and enjoy it, because I recommend it. 5 brutal Spanish metal bands. I try to do it from 3 weeks to 3 weeks because we have plenty of very good bands. So guys, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and let me know what your thoughts in the comments. How's the metal scene in your country? Please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.